Hi, this is Kat Francis. I'm with the Massillon Museum. I'm going to be teaching you guys about Greek pottery, and we're going to actually be making our own Greek pots inspired by the current programming at Massillon Museum. For this, you're going to need a glass bottle. You can use a mason jar, any sort of glass bottle will do. We will be baking this clay to harden it. You could use air dry clay. I'm going to use Sculpey, colored Sculpey, that I can bake to have it hold permanent shape. So glass is safe to put in your oven because it bakes at such a low temperature. I'm using I have two different colors here. I'll probably just use this one, but they're kind of a terracotta color just to be in reference to the traditional Greek pottery. So we'll go ahead and get started. So for Greek pottery, you may not know this, but here's an example of an image of Greek pottery. And it would have stories on there about Greek history, Greek mythology, and this is how we know a lot of the stories that we know today about Greek mythology and history. So they would take in black designs and tell these beautiful narratives. So we're going to do something similar. I also have, and you may want to pause it on the screen, I have different images of Greek pottery, of designs that you can use as inspiration. I'll probably do something a little bit more basic that makes sense with the shape of my bottle. I'm gonna do a design similar to this. A lot of the times they have two handles on the side, so that's what we'll have. So for this, and this is something you can do of any age, and it's a lot of fun. So the Sculpey, you'll need to work with it a little bit to get it to be soft for shape. If you have air dry clay, that starts out a little bit softer. So you're just gonna wanna kind of handle the clay to get it to soften up. Okay. So the more you mess with it, the softer it gets. And once you get your clay more manageable, you're gonna cover your bottle. So I think I want to use both colors. I think it'd be kind of cool if it has like this swirled kind of marble effect. So I have a darker and a brighter kind of terracotta color. So I'm just gonna keep working that clay. Mine's nice and hard. If yours is a firmer, harder clay, just like I said, keep handling it to get it to soften up. All right, and then I'm gonna kind of twist mine and mold mine, and see it's kind of like making like two colors, and I want that. I'm gonna pinch off a little bit for my handles, so a little pinch like this. Depending on the size of glass bottle, you're gonna need more, but this is probably plenty for my bottle. I'm gonna pinch a little bit more on that side. Like I said, I just gotta keep kind of pushing it together to soften it up. All right. And see, I've got kind of a marbling sort of effect going on, which I like. You don't have to do this. Also, traditionally, the pots were a terracotta, kind of a clay color. But, you know, this is your art, so maybe you want to do it in a different way. Maybe your favorite color is blue, and that's the color you want to do it. You can do it that color. I was just trying to keep it more historical. So now that I have some clay, I'm going to smush it, kind of flatten it down thinner. Okay, and then once I have it pretty thin, I'm gonna blanket it over my glass bottle. And what's cool about this, and see as I'm spraying, it's getting a little bit more marbly, I don't know if that's a word. And then I'm just gonna cover my whole glass container. So it's basically like my glass container is like my skeleton, and then my clay is the skin. So I'm going to cover it. And what's also kind of nice about covering a glass container is it just already is the shape of a pot. Like, you know, it's tall and narrow. So it's like I'm cheating a little. You don't have to have a glass container, by the way, to do this. You could try doing it just from molding, you know, your clay. Like, for example, if you wanted to make like a tiny bowl, you could roll this in a ball. Getting a little sidetracked, but that's okay. And then you're gonna put a little fingerprint in there, and you can make like a teeny little bowl. You just pinch it around to make like a little bowl shape. You know, maybe you want to do that. Okay, so kind of make it like a blanket, and we're just covering it up and using our fingers to kind of smush it around. And you can get it pretty thin on there. And if you get little holes in it, just patch it, it's okay. So just, you know, this is the part that'll take a little bit. So you're nice and covered. And what's cool about this is it is close to Mother's Day. So maybe you want to make this for a gift for a friend who's a mother, or your own mother, or, you know, anybody special in your life, and you can keep little flowers in it. It's springtime, even though today while I'm filming this, there's currently snow. But hopefully by the time you guys watch this, it's all spring flowers. So I'm just covering my pot with all my clay. And if you are bothered by the fingerprints in Sculpey, a few ways you can remove those is after you bake it, you can sand it very lightly and delicately to remove those. I like imperfections in art, so it doesn't really bother me, but I know some people it does. So that's how you can kind of just sand at it, or you can take a isopropyl, also known as like rubbing alcohol, and a brush and smooth over it. So see, I'm just packing on the clay, covering up my glass bottle. Yeah, nice and covered up. And so you also saw how much clay I started with. So depending on the size of bottle is how much clay you're gonna need. I should have just enough. Any less might be kind of pushing it. So if you were to go to the store and buy Sculpey, just getting 2 of those bricks is a good size for the size container I'm using. You could also use like baby food jars. That would work well. So see, I'm almost got it covered. Mine's taking a while because my clay is pretty firm. I think it's clay I already had, so I think it's a little harder because it might be a little older. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep patching it on there. Almost there. And this is cool because you can do all kinds of stuff with this, and it makes a really great gift. And having the glass underneath keeps it stronger. Okay, almost there. And I'm just patching it together, just covering the whole thing. Yeah, I'm gonna have just enough clay. Almost there. Like I said, if you end up pushing it and getting any tears or holes or patches in it, just put another little chunk of clay on there and fill it in. Okay, and then I'm gonna roll it like this to just really smooth it out. And see, it looks like a little, I gotta make sure you cover the top all the way with clay. Almost there. And so see, it looks like sculpted, like I sculpted it completely. You'd never know. I kind of cheated with having a glass bottle underneath. So see, it's like a nice sculpted piece. And I didn't cover the bottom of mine, but you can if you would like. And then I'm just gonna kind of make sure it has the whole form. Okay, and remember, you don't want to do this with a plastic bottle because it'll melt when you bake it. You want to make sure it's glass. So there we go. Now for the handles, so remember I had the 2 pinches of clay on the side. So I'm going to take and roll them like you're making a snake. Remember that in like kindergarten or whatever? And I'll put my little handles on there. So just little loops I'm attaching, and then I kind of smush it down to put them in there. And then I have my other side. And I actually pinched off a little too much clay, and that's okay. I'd rather have too much than not enough. And then I'm gonna kind of bend them outward. So see, it'll look like a nice clay pot. I have some left over, so I think what I might do is make another snake. So I'm rolling out my clay, and then I think I might put it around this just to give it like another kind of design, and I'll smush that in there just to give it like a little, you know, just something a little different to make it look more like a, you know, another design on there, just like another little detail. Just kind of, and you can use for sculpting tools, you can use toothpicks, you can use the other side of a paintbrush, dental tools, whatever you want to use to kind of work. You could use a pencil, anything like that. So once we get to this part, you're gonna bake, unless you use air dry clay, you're gonna bake your Greek pot in the oven for at 205 is what I use, set at 205, and for maybe 15 minutes, and then let it cool completely. I actually leave mine in the oven to cool, so that way it can gradually cool instead of just taking it straight out. I noticed that when I work in Sculpey, if I take it immediately out of the oven, instead of letting it cool down with the oven, it just seems more brittle and fragile. So if I just, you know, let it sit in there. Now it's not, you might smell some weird smells from the Sculpey. From what I read, the smells, they're not toxic to you. Some people have little toaster ovens they use specifically if they work in Sculpey a lot, but maybe just make sure you run a fan, and you know, don't do it right before dinner so that way your oven has time to air out. But it is a toxic free material. If you're using air dry clay, then you just let it, you know, sit for 24 hours to completely harden. All right, so I'm gonna get out my other one. One second here. So then also part of the material list is to have a paint marker. You could probably use a Sharpie as well. I got these from Amazon, but they would have them at any craft store, and it's just a paint marker. When you use a paint marker, remember to shake it a bunch, and then you're gonna push it down on paper to get the paint to come down on the tip of the pen. So you'll see it's like all white, and then as you push it on paper, you kind of tap it, it gets the paint to travel down to the tip of the pen. So if you remember, I told you that Greek pots tell stories. So now that we have our pot baked and hardened, so I have one here, you can draw a story on yours or a design. So I'm gonna add like little design to mine to give it some cool like patterns. So I'm gonna do like this dotted pattern around mine, and then I will have a story that I'm gonna put on top of mine. So I'm just putting like a little dotted pattern on top of mine. Maybe I'll do kind of another design on top. So you can add different like embellishments. And you know, if these pens start to dry out or anything on you, you know, you just gotta shake them and push them onto paper. Because remember, it's basically your pen is filled with wet paint, and you're just getting it to come back out to the tip. So my story that I will put on here is, I think what I'm gonna put is, I really love donuts. So I think I'm gonna tell a story of getting donuts on Sunday mornings with my family. That's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm gonna draw a donut on mine. So if somebody found this artifact, maybe they would piece it together like, oh, this artist was really into donuts in her family. So I kind of sketched a little donut on there. And I'm just re-wetting my pen. And then like I said, it's on Sundays. So I'm gonna put like a sun. So I'm just using icons and imagery to tell my story like they would have. So I'm putting a sun on here to show sun day, you know, the sun in the day. Shaking my pen to get it. And then I'm gonna put, for family, I have my husband, Steve with his beard, and I have my son, I think he's running out. Hopefully your pens are seeing wetter than mine. And my daughter, who's the baby. So I'll have her in like a little thing. And then me. I'm very blessed to have both a son and a daughter. So yeah, so I drew, I have my donut, and I have my sun for Sunday, and then I have like, you know, 4 stick figures. For the sake of the film, I won't do a really detailed drawing. I just kind of stuck with symbols to show my family. So, like I said, if an archaeologist found this, they'd be like, oh, okay, what is this round circular treat? They worshipped on the sun. But yeah, so this is our Greek pot demo. I hope you had a lot of fun. If you made one, post on Instagram, tag Massillon Museum. I'd love to see it. I hope you guys put little stories on your Greek pot, because I think that'd be really cool. I hope you came up with some cool stories on there. Or if you just want to do a design, that's fine too. It's your art, right? So thank you so much for tuning in for this demo. I hope you have a great day, and always remember to check the Massillon Museum website. They have great workshops all year round, especially with this Greek theme. There's been such cool offerings for it, but all summer, always check it out. All right, thanks. Have a great day. Bye.